Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for this kind of introduction. Good morning, everyone. So I should say on behalf of the SITEX community that we are very pleased, thank you, very pleased to have this opportunity to present you the main outlines and outcomes of the SITEX initiative. So this present, how does it work? Okay. This presentation is meant to provide you with some insight on the settings of the SITEX initiative, then its main achievements, and as a conclusion, the way forward. Well, coming to the context is related to the different functions that interact in the field of radioactive waste management decision-making process. So I come a little bit on that because I will use those terms all along the presentation. So there are several functions involved in the decision-making process, which are the implementing function, the regulatory function, the expertise function, and the society function. And the expertise function key missions is to provide the technical and the scientific basis for notably supporting the decisions that are made within the regulatory function. And the European directive addressing the safety of radioactive waste management states notably that the member states shall establish and maintain a competent regulatory authority which should be functionally separate from the waste management organizations. And the directive also requires that all parties to carry out education, training, and research activities. So the independence and competence of the regulatory function calls in turn for the support of a competent expertise function. An independent expertise function, independency meaning independence from the implementing function. And typically the activities from the expertise function are contributing to the establishment of regulatory requirements, elaborating guidance for meeting these requirements, evaluating the safety of the waste, and also evaluating the safety case of radioactive waste management facilities, as well as, and it's very important, developing and maintaining its knowledge and skills. So let's come to the origin of the SITEX initiative. As Robert said, the implementing function in Europe decided to coordinate their effort to be able, at the Horizon 2025, to implement the first geological disposal facility. So the IGDTP was launched in 2009, funded by the EC, and it clearly appeared that there was also a need at the international level for developing and coordinating activities of the expertise function to be able to be ready to review the scientific and technical matters that will be presented in the safety case of the first geological disposal. So the SITEX initiative was launched in 2012, funded by the EC also, and it gathered the organizations fulfilling an expertise function, the TSO, Technical Safety Organization, the research entities that also carry out an expertise function, the nuclear regulatory authorities, and civil society groups. And it was really a willingness to gather a plurality of actors and views as the way forward to build a strong and comprehensive expertise function, a technical expertise network. So we started with the first SITEX projects, coordinating and support action for the preparation of what could be an expertise function network. And we have had to define the needs and mission of the expertise function in detail, to define its objectives, and also to define the possible activities and interaction modes of the network. Then we moved to the what we call the SITEX 2 projects, which was really to test all what we have designed in the first preparatory phase. So to test the practical implementation of the activities and the interaction modes, and also to prepare the terms of reference of the future SITEX network. And right now we are at the step of the SITEX network, which was launched well, not last January, we are 1 year old now, 1 year old. It was launched in January 2018. This SITEX network was funded as a non-profit organization and with the overall objective of enhancing and fostering cooperation at the international level to achieve a high-quality expertise function, independent from organizations responsible for the implementation of the waste management programs, and aiming at supporting the nuclear regulatory authorities as well as the civil society in the field of radioactive waste management, including disposal. And I have to say that at the start we are more focused on geological disposal. While the types of activities, I will come back on each of them later on, are related to research, mainly research programming, to harmonizing safety review practices, also connected, well, related to training and to interaction with civil society. We are at present 15 members from 9 countries, and well, the launching of the network itself shows really that the two SITEX projects, the two European SITEX projects, were successful. So let's go to the main achievements within the SITEX initiative, whatever the SITEX 1, SITEX 2, the SITEX network. Regarding the research-related activities, we've produced a strategic research agenda in the field of radioactive waste management, which includes 36 topics within 7 main topics, with systematically in that SRA a systematic description of the importance of the main topics to safety, as well as the rationale for developing joint activities. And for each of the subtopics, there was the research activities and/or horizontal activities were identified for the 36 topics. We also worked on the conditions for the implementation of these type of activities in a European joint programming, whilst preserving the independence of the expertise function and the other functions also. And for example, you can find all of that in the SITEX 2 deliverable. It was clear to us that there is a need for an impartiality in establishing the state-of-the-art within joint programs. Transparency also regarding codes, data, and results. Independence of the analysis of the results, and a say on the design of shared experiments, if any. So SITEX was involved, as you know, in the development of the EURAD project, European projects, with mainly the inputs as the SRR. And to do that, the TSO group of JOPRAD, because there was also a TSO group within the JOPRAD to prepare the joint programming, worked in close cooperation with the SITEX people. And based on the SRS, all of them from each of the communities, the communalities were assessed, and including the TSO needs. And this led to the program documents issued by JOPRAD and then the EURAD SRA. So SITEX also coordinated the TSO's review of the EURAD work packages. We've made 2 reviews organized in 2018, which were done as follows. That is an internal review, internal meaning internal to the EURAD joint programming by the mandated TSOs, and also an external, kind of an external review by the other SITEX members, and it was separated reviews that was required. Then we also coordinated the election of the 3 technical safety organization representatives in the EURAD Bureau. Regarding 2 other types of activities, one is about safety review related activities, and I won't go in too much detail because it's a little bit out of the scope of that conference, but we've produced, for example, a guidance for the technical review of safety cases for geological disposal, and also some position papers on different topical aspects of the safety of geological disposal. Regarding our activities related to training, we've produced a state of the art on practices, experiences, and prospective views on training and tutoring based on all what was published throughout the world. And we've set up within SITEX 2 a training model for general experts in geological disposal with the safety review perspective angle. And we've set a first pilot, a 1-week pilot training session in 2017. And well, we've gained, let's say, experience in doing that. And we've prepared also a lot of materials with the perspective of safety review. And that led to a proposal when we've prepared the EURAD project, a proposal by the SITEX community as an association to be part of the EURAD project to provide with that feedback. But it was not, the proposal was not successful. So we will go on, the SITEX will go on with the entity to implement a training, and the first module will be this year in September. Then regarding another type of activities, which is the interaction between expertise and civil society functions. Well, during the SITEX 2 project, the double wings, that's the so-called double wings concept, was developed and implemented. It means that a small group of civil society organization was directly involved in the SITEX 2 project, and they interacted with a larger group of NGOs. There were 35 of them to work on 3 specific issues. First one was about how could the civil society organization concerns be integrated in research activities of the expertise function. So the civil society organization formulated research key issues that they expected to be covered, and these issues were discussed within the SITEX 2 project with the other partners, the institutional partners, and these issues were considered to produce the final version of our SRA. And based on the input from the civil society organization, there were a first list of socio-technical topics for which both the technical and the societal aspects need to be investigated in an integrated manner where it's clearly a need. And that has been included in the SITEX SRA. And for example, the issue related to the conditions for closure is typically one of these socio-technical topics. So, following the successful interaction between the society, the expertise, and the implementing function during all the preparation of the European joint programming EURAD, we are quite very happy with the involvement now of the civil society in the Beacon project, in the GP EURAD, and in other European projects also. Well, the initial proposals that were made were a little bit changed to take into account some requests from the EC, and this is totally fully normal. But what I wanted to say a little bit as a first kind of an answer to Christophe, who said on Tuesday that there would be a need to further define how the civil society organization can contribute to the to the research, to the European research, that to our point of view, it should be based on interaction between the institutional and non-institutional organization, rather than, let's say, an external review process or a communication process, because we clearly need to process in both ways and not only on one way, which is like communication is one way, and we need interactions in both ways. Oops. That was not my last key point, but I don't know what to do. Okay. Yeah. Okay, the second specific issue we worked on was how safety culture for radioactive waste management can be shared through the different stakeholders, including the civil society. And we've issued 2 deliverables. You can, again, find them on the SITEX website, on the commonalities and differences in the vision of the safety cultures in the radioactive waste management world, and also conditions and means for further developing the interaction with the civil society. The third specific issue we worked on was about intergenerational governance. So in addition to the review and analysis of the available literature, we've developed within SITEX too a new approach to, let's say, stimulate exchanges on the different possibility to manage the different routes to manage radioactive waste, especially the high level of the spent fuel. And this is in the form of a serious game. We call it the PEP for the Pathway Evaluation Process, and it has been implemented several times right now within the SITEX community with the enlarged group of NGOs I talked about. It was also implemented for educational purposes by an NGO in the Czech Republic. And more recently, it has been implemented by the French Public Debate Commission. It was 2 weeks ago, with 40 students and with the support of SITEX partner as facilitators. And it was really, really, really successful for all the persons that participated to the implementation. Let's say that this is really a powerful tool to launch the discussion, to learn from each other, to tackle, to address the dilemma of the various possibilities of routes to manage radioactive waste. And now for this the way forward, for this a couple of words regarding our award program for the next year, for this year, 2019, and the next years. First, regarding the research-related activities, where we will also update our SRA, because it was produced in 2015, and notably with the perspective of definition of further projects in the framework of the EURAD project. We also propose to coordinate the TSO community for the European Joint Programming EURAD when needed. And we will have a special day related to recent social sciences on governance. Regarding safety review related activities, we will launch a kind of a benchmark, not on code or on modeling issues, but on reviewing approaches to exchange on our review practices, and then it will be like a play with roles of the WMO, the regulatory authority, and the technical support that will play the review of a part of a geological disposal safety case. We will also produce a state of knowledge related to deep borehole disposal, because it is a kind of, we have had lots of questions from everywhere about the pros and cons of such kind of disposal, in comparison with, let's say, classical geological disposal facility, underground facilities. Regarding training, as I told you, we will have the first module of the SITEX training on September this year. So there will be all the information on the ANSI and the SITEX website, and you're welcome to that kind of training, because I'm sure that it could be of benefit for every community. And regarding civil society, we will go on, this is one of the activities, to propose PEP sessions for those that would like to have some, whatever, internally or externally to the SITEX community. And as a last slide, I would like to wrap up a little bit the key points I've made. Well, SITEX network is now clearly a sustainable technical expertise network. We have our own statutes, our own terms of references with the activities, interaction modes, and the management modes that are described and fixed. So we are a structured community producing outputs and able to coordinate also action when required. We clearly have seen, and will see, I'm sure of that the plurality of actors and views, including so-called less and more advanced programs, is really an asset for the expertise functions. So this is thanks to the European Commission funds for the preparation of the SITEX network. And one of our challenge, of course, is to turn from the EC funds to membership fees, and sometimes it leads to some difficulties for some of the organizations that were part of the SITEX project to be partners of the SITEX network, and this is really, as you can guess, a concern when speaking about civil society organizations. Well, the successful interactions toward the EURAD joint programming between the expertise, the implementing, and the society function is clearly to be pointed out. And here are only small points in view of some improvements and it's kind of feedback. First, the complexity of the radioactive waste management issues entails involving both social science and citizen science in future integrated research projects, to our point of view at least. Then, as Christoph Davis said, a proper integration of civil society in the international technical research progress is still an issue, and it has to be further worked out. To our point of view, inclusiveness with a well-balanced participation of the different communities is really a key aspect for the successful implementation of the future research programs, joint programs, and at last gathering all the parties as early as possible, whatever the project is, to our point of view, clearly a need and an advantage. Well, these are mainly the points I would like to make. Thank you.